Welcome
to Film Shapes, the podcast.
Somebody needs to get off. Well, volunteers. I don't need a volunteer. I know someone who ought to get off. This one. He's a German spy. Don't be daft. He's a fucking Jerry.
Hi, everybody. This is Shady, and I'm here again with Roly.
Hello.
Today we're going to talk about Dunkirk.
Dunkirk, indeed.
Yeah, so Dunkirk, well, it's a story of the evacuation of the British Expeditionary Forces from the French part of Dunkirk. French part?
The French part of Dunkirk? It's a French town, right?
Yes, I read part instead of port. It's very close to Belgium.
Yeah.
But it's not in Belgium,
Close to the border, and I think Belgium was one of the last countries maybe to surrender to Germany at that time. So that's what kind of cut off these forces from, or that's what, drove all the Allied forces into a bit of a little point where they had no chance to escape, really.
Except across the channel, yeah. And this was like late May, early June 1940.
Yeah.
It seems like, according to the film, it seems Churchill wanted 35,000 men back. They ended up getting, do you know how many?
I think there was about 380,000.
A bit lower, yeah, but around 340,000.
Yeah.
That's incredible, right? So.
Well, I think that's one of the things with this film in particular is I'm not sure how the numbers stack up against the actual history. If there might have been, a little exaggeration here or there. Or
I remember they mentioned it was, near enough 300,000 or something, which is pretty close to the accurate number they took over. So,
and the whole thing kind of takes place over about a week of time. We're looking at a week of activity.
That's interesting. You mentioned time at this early point. That's sort of the key part of the film, isn't it? How they meld time together. There are three stages. Like there's the sea, the beach, and the air, and each one has a different thread, a different time line almost.
Yeah, I don't think it's giving too much away to say there's one of them takes place over a week, another one takes place over
a day,
and another takes place over an hour. And there's a point in the film at which they all kind of coincide, isn't there?
Yeah. It's very clever, I think. I don't know how he wrote this.
Yeah. Well, in some ways, how much writing, in terms of writing and scripting, a lot of the film takes place around action, doesn't it? It's not
sure.
There's not a lot of dialogue.
No, but that's
in this film.
That's to its benefit, I think. Anyway. Well, before we go on about it, what did you reckon?
Oh, look, it's a big film. I had a few issues with it. I had, look, I think we should maybe talk about the film a little first, and we'll get into that, because I don't want to say that.
Sure.
I don't want to come out, guns blazing.
You've got your fist in the air, though. I see.
Yeah, I'm just trying to. I think there's more to talk about this here.
Right.
I thought the film could have been called Operation Dynamo, which was the actual name of the event that Churchill kind of ordered, this Operation Dynamo, which was the evacuation of the troops using civilian vessels, which was the heart of this film, is that the civilian vessels came from the other side of the channel to rescue. Yeah,
they've said, I've seen some interviews with the filmmakers and Nolan specifically, and they've said that that's kind of the key, that, usually in war films it's, the soldiers are the heroes. In this case, it's probably the civilians.
I'm just going to pull you up there because Nolan himself does describe this film as a race against time, but he also says, it's not really a war film.
Sure.
It's more of a suspense thriller.
Is that just a bit of a furphy to try and get the punters in?
Yeah,
I'm not sure. It's clearly a war film.
It's clearly a war film.
But, there is suspense in it. It's pretty tense.
Mind you, Nolan has not before tackled a historical event.
Right, but he's, true.
Apparently.
Well, wouldn't you? Well, but the Prestige was kind of, Tesla was in that. And, there's not much. Yeah, so it's a bit of
Yeah, I think this is
faffing
where
around with
maybe
history.
some of it might fall down, is the historical accuracy of some portions.
people-
I mean, broadly speaking, it's it's
may
talking
sound
about
like-
a real event, and
Yeah.
he's done it very well. I will say
Sure.
that. But
I may sound like an apologist for Nolan if he needs one, but he's been accused of fucking about with the science in Interstellar as well. Sure, if you're a real science nerd, you probably pick some holes in that. I don't care. That was fine for
that
me.
was a science fiction film. I mean,
Yeah.
you're allowed to do that in science fiction.
Yeah, but again, also
Otherwise, it would all be science fact.
Right. True. Yeah, that's a good point. So you think he should be more historically accurate in a film about history?
No, I think he just made a bunch of choices of what to focus on in this film.
I didn't spot anything, and I mean, I'm not an historian, but I didn't spot anything that stood out as, oh, that's a bit wrong.
I think for me it was more about what wasn't there, and some of the, like, I would have been interested to get a little bit more of an idea of the history from the, like, I had to look up some of these things after seeing the films. Oh, what actually happened there? Oh, they were out on that South Mole or what?
The mole.
Maybe it was the Eastern Mole. But it was just.
But that's good. That's what film should do. They should make you want to go and check out and do some more research.
Yeah, well, in that case, very successful.
Right. I don't know. I don't think that there's any need to know anything else about the war itself or about the characters. No characters were given any backstory, really.
No.
Maybe the guy on the boat, perhaps, a little bit later. We found out that his son had been a pilot in the war. So
I'd got the impression, though, that some of the little scenes in this did come from actual stories. I'm guessing in some sort of pre-production process where there's a scene where a boat is, without giving too much away, again, where a boat is being kind of used as target practice, and there's men inside the boat, and there's that horror of not knowing if the next bullet's going to puncture next to your head.
There are a couple of characters, I think. Kenneth Branagh's character and Mark Rylance's character are based on real people.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, but roughly based, not exactly them, but yeah.
Yeah, there was some pretty broad brushstrokes in effect here, wasn't there?
Yeah. I don't know, that sounds negative. Broad. Is that a negative word?
Yeah, I think it didn't get into the detail, as you said. We didn't get into the detail of characterization or telling much of the micro side. It was a very macro kind of film as far as I was concerned. But I can see at the same time how you could argue the opposite, because but it's the type of personal experiences that were portrayed were kind of had one overarching theme, really, which was fear.
Yeah, yep, that's right. And how people behave in those situations. We're hopefully never going to know that. But yeah, I think that's it. I like the fact that most of the characters were not heroic. Even the ones who possibly would have been in another film, the soldiers and those kind of guys were basically... Well, one guy couldn't... The lead actor, look, shall we call him the lead, Fionn Whitehead, the guy that we see in the first scene and the very last scene as well. We kind of follow his trajectory through the film. Yep. He always needs to have a crap, doesn't he? He can never get one. I felt my...
I thought it was only once, but
no,
did it
twice or three times. Oh, okay. He's always like,
wow,
God, I've caught short.
I can't believe I didn't pick up on that.
The poor bugger, he must be dying for a turd.
How many times did you see the film?
Twice.
Yeah, okay. Okay, so I saw it once. Okay. Maybe that's why.
Yeah, you'll see it next time.
I'll be looking out for it next time.
He'll be like, oh, God, he's got that strained face where he's needing to go.
There's something, that's really the central metaphor of the film is... No, it's not.
Is it?
That's terrible. Terrible.
But that's kind of... He's always caught short. He can never do... There's no time. There's always...
A race against time.
Some urgency. Yeah, so he can't just sit down and have a dump. That's unfortunate.
So because that's at the start, he, the guy's obviously running away, trying not to die.
Sure.
Is he, the way that the people are portrayed in this film, they are trying to escape and it's not in a non-heroic.
Yeah, I mean they're
way.
not cowards. I don't know. I think I wrote about this. They're just real folk trying to get something done, and they're just looking at getting away. They're not thinking about I'm going to be a hero here. I mean, is there any heroism? Maybe Tom Hardy's character.
Oh,
perhaps the pilot,
the boat, the civilian boat captain.
Yeah, but he's just
he is a kind of a little bit of a cliche, I might say, of kind of English stoicism in this film.
Okay.
He was a little bit too much the perfect moral.
Yeah, true. Yeah,
character. He, I found him a bit annoying, to be honest.
Did you?
Yeah.
Okay. There's only one point that I thought it slightly stretched into sentimentality.
Well, this is. Can we then go back then to say first what you thought of the soundtrack in general?
Oh, I wasn't even thinking about that with what I was about to say, but
okay.
But I suppose that does come into it. No, I thought that the scene where the flotilla, the civilian ships arrive, and Kenneth Branagh gets a bit misty-eyed, and he says, "It's home. What's out there? Home." And all the ships are coming in.
Yeah,
I thought that was a little bit sentimental.
Just a bit.
Okay, that's if it was, I didn't really care that much.
I noticed in your review you did say sentimentality and flag waving.
There were some flags, weren't there?
There was some flag waving there, definitely.
I'm happy to accept that though in the scheme of this whole film, because that's pretty sensational effort to get all these, pleasure boats and fishing boats and things across to collect soldiers. It's pretty amazing.
But do you have to spoil it with that music at that point, which just really blatantly put across? It was too intense for me. It was the rest of the soundtrack was beautiful. There's all this silence at the beginning, and then as the bombs start falling, and the soundtrack was kind of weird. And how did you describe it? Screeching at times.
Yeah.
But it seemed almost quite experimental, and it was.
Yeah.
And then it got to that point of the flotilla arriving, and I thought that.
So
I get this. I don't need the soundtrack to punch me in the face with it as well.
Well, I mean, I think this is probably your musical ear overriding mine. I didn't even really notice that was the problem. I thought it was the tears in the eyes and the dialogue and that. But yeah, I guess now that I think it affected me without me saying, "Oh, that soundtrack is an issue." But you're right.
Yeah, okay. Because to me, it was the first time I really noticed the soundtrack, and it was I noticed it too much.
TikTok all the way through, and
it was there, but I wasn't paying attention to it. Whereas all I could pay attention to in that scene was kind of the flag waving.
Yeah, true.
Idea of this, and the soundtrack just added more cream to a pie that's already full of cream.
Really? I didn't think it was that creamy. I didn't get a sore tooth.
Well,
that was one scene that I thought, here we go.
I was gagging on the cream at that point.
Serious? Okay. Yeah, we have quite different views on this, I think, in this whole film. I think it's the best film I've seen this year, probably. And I've still got what do we got? About a week and a bit.
Yeah, okay.
This year.
Well, and that's not long. They better come up with something good in that time, otherwise this is it.
I'm going to see, I think, 2 films before the end of the year at least, and I've got high hopes for both of them. I won't say what they are, but I don't know. I still think it's the best film I've seen this year, and maybe in 5 years. I'm being a little bit harsh on it, I think, but I think there's just some things about this film I like and some things I didn't like. There's some. What I think it's good at is taking some of the small moments. There's a little moment where a dead soldier's floating in the water, and there's another line of soldiers waiting to escape, and the dead soldier just kind of gets pushed away. They're pushing him away, yeah. Well, that's somebody holding death at bay. It's quite those little moments where the film really stands out for me. I think. Yeah, but then I'm contradicting myself, aren't I? Because I said it's not. No. It's broad brushstrokes and it's not detailed, but that's very detailed. There's moments of detail that are great. Yeah, that's true. The writing how much fuel he has left in a chalk on the dashboard of the plane is pretty cool, I think.
Yeah.
The voice, did you notice the voice of the squadron leader when there were 3 Spitfires and then it gets whittled down? The first guy who just goes missing.
Yep.
Michael Caine.
Oh, I can't believe I didn't recognise Michael Caine.
Yeah, I'm not going to do it, but he does.
Go on.
He affects a little bit more of a posh RAF squadron leader accent instead of his usual Cockney kind of.
Yeah, right. I didn't pick up on that at all.
Yeah,
Lovely.
I didn't first time either. I had to go back and have a listen. Yeah.
How would you compare this film with something like Saving Private Ryan? Which is a bit of an obvious comparison, but I think they're quite different films.
I've forgotten most of that film, and I'm not a big Spielberg fan. He's technically a very good filmmaker, Spielberg, but I don't like his shtick. I don't like his cheesy kind of... I don't know. He's not really pushing the envelope, shall we say.
No, I think that this film could be seen as pushing the envelope more, maybe, but at the same time it did have that Spielbergian flotilla moment, I would describe it as.
Oh, geez,
it really was.
Pretty insulting.
Really was.
Really? I disagree.
I think,
what I remember from Saving Private Ryan is the opening beach scene, which was kind of grandiose and pretty well made, I think. But I can't remember much of the rest of it. So I'd have to see it again, but yeah.
I think there was definitely more, went much deeper in terms of the characters in the film. But I don't think this film was trying to do that.
No,
it was
not
trying
at
to
all.
do the opposite of that.
Yeah.
Which is where the broad brushstroke thing comes in for me. It's
yeah, well, they're not trying to, I suppose. They're not trying to focus on character. They're focusing on the action and, specifically up to that, where those 3 timelines meet. We can talk about this, can't we? I suppose where there's a final meeting of the Tom Hardy in the plane, Mike Rylance on the boat, and Cillian Murphy as well, who's pretty good in this too, and Fionn Whitehead's gang in that sinking boat, and they all sort of come into the water at one moment, right?
Yep.
That's the kind of pinpoint, isn't it?
I think so.
It's
hard to tell, but
yeah, I think that's where they all basically meet up, just there. I hope that's it.
Yeah, but it's basically a land, air, sea trident kind of
trident. Oh, very good.
kind of
Poseidon's
idea, isn't it?
Trident. Yeah.
But throughout this film, I'm sort of offsetting it in a harsh way to your praise, but I think my biggest problem with this film, and I want to ask you the question, does it rely on a little too much on just those little psychological triggers around fear of claustrophobia and some of the drowning scenes and things like that? Is your response to this film more visceral because he's just pulling levers and pushing buttons in the human psyche, which are not hard to do for anyone, around these kind of fears?
I think he's not...
I mean, we all know that war would be a terrifying experience, but he's kind of maybe just throwing us straight into the emotion of that without really attempting to tell much of a story apart from this 3-pronged approach to timelines. Okay,
well, if you cut it all down, if you made it into a just regular narrative, it is a basic story. People trying to get off a beach. Some people come over on little ships, collect them. There's danger always around, U-boats and Messerschmitts and these kind of things, and they take them back. It's reasonably simple story.
Yep.
But I think he had to do something. If it was another director, he may have focused on a character and built that character up, and it's the character's journey. But in this, there were quite a few characters. The You know, the pilot, the captain of the little boat, the Fionn Whitehead, the young man's character, the shell-shocked Cillian Murphy. He's sort of spread it around and not focused on character.
Yeah, and that's a choice of his. I don't think it's a. I don't think he's incapable of doing it. Inception's one of my favourite films of all time.
Good film, very good. But
it's a very different film to this one.
But that does mess about with time again, right?
Yeah,
and memory and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, but it also gets very deep into the characters. I think.
Sure. So he can do it.
You know, but that I don't know. Maybe he's using a little bit of what he's kind of, you know, good at there. Well, but like some of the things I'll remember about this film going away are more those moments of random panic where there's a plane overhead and there's 100,000 men on a beach ducking down, not knowing where the bomb's going to fall.
Is that bad?
Well, if that's the only thing I take away from it, then I think it could be better.
I think I've heard some people saying that they're not that invested in it because they don't care about the characters. Are you on that side of things?
Yeah, probably.
Okay. Maybe I'm a bit more cold-hearted then, because I don't care about the characters, but I love
don't want to care about the characters.
No, it's not. No,
it just felt like a bit of a brain burger in that way.
A brain burger?
Brain burger.
What the fuck is a brain burger?
It's like a hamburger for your brain.
Is that a thing? You just made that up?
Yeah, well, I wasn't the one that came up with that, but I think someone I know made that up.
Okay.
And it kind of stuck.
Hamburger for your brain? You mean
yeah, it's not actually
food?
Doing your brain any good, this film.
What?
What's it doing that's good for your brain, this film?
You're going away and you're thinking about...
It's not teaching you anything about history.
Bullshit, it is. You're going to go and research
It's not giving you a deeper understanding of character.
No. I'm not having this brain burger thing. The character doesn't matter in this case. It's given you the chance to go and learn about the evacuation, which I've done. I mean, I knew about it before, but I've done a bit more work on it. And what? Come on, the way he's melded those three timelines together and seamlessly had them come to that pinpoint in the water. That's amazing. That's brain caviar.
Does it feel sometimes a little bit like this film is telling a British story actually from more of an American point of view?
No, not having that either. Wow, you've thrown some fucking real doozras at me here. Why? Where does that come from?
I think I just wanted to throw that.
Yeah, I think so. No, if anything, it's too British because it's all very, like you said, stoic and stiff upper lip and oh, come on, we'll get them. And there's a bit of that one character recites the Churchill speech of the famous.
Yeah, but I just feel that's all a bit caricature. Like there's no depth to that.
Yeah, well, maybe not. Maybe having that speech at the end may have been a bit of a, I don't know, a fillip to the Poms, I suppose. But it's not Seppo filmmaking at all. It's not Americanized, I would say. No, I'm not having that either.
Except for maybe that flotilla scene.
Okay, yes, possibly. Yeah.
maybe we should...
but look, the British do those kind of things often in historical films as well.
Yeah.
Right, so it's not just American.
Okay. I'll take your word for that.
Okay.
Before we finish up...
I have something to ask as well.
More?
Yeah,
go on.
Now, you might know about this. I just found it last night, so it's quite a new thing. Shepard Tone.
No.
Have you heard about this?
Nope.
This is back to the music. Now, it confused me a little bit, but this is pretty much all the way through. He's got this. This is Zimmer working this way. Let me try and get my head around this. 2 tones rising in pitch, always. So you always think there's some peril.
Oh, okay. So
peril about to happen.
They overlap and they keep going, and they have the appearance, or they sound like it's a constantly rising tone.
Yeah. But so it consists of several tones separated by an octave.
Yep.
Layered on top of each other, but one's fading and one's coming up.
One's fading out before so it fades out before it reaches the top.
Yeah.
But then by that time, the other one's faded in, and that's growing. Okay.
That's horrible. I didn't notice this was happening.
Yeah. It's not the sort of thing you probably would notice that easily. But,
no.
But yeah, I do. Yeah, it's probably one of those film composer tricks they use all the time.
Well, he uses it in other films as well. And I think Super Mario Brothers used it on one of their games as well. So
there you go.
That's pretty amazing, though. I thought, why? There's no sort of punch at the end. There never is, because it's a loop. It's continually rising.
Yes.
Or if you wanted to go backwards, continually dipping.
You could go the other way in theory.
Yeah. Which is, it sort of...
I guess it's a effective way of building tension in this type of scenario.
Yeah, but kind of... It's like when you're on a train and you can feel it, maybe you're having a nap, for example, and you can feel the train slowly stopping, but you think has it stopped yet? No. Oh, there it is. And there's a little tiny jerk when you actually stop.
When you do stop, yeah.
Imagine if it never fucking stopped.
You just always decelerating.
Always decelerating, waiting for the stop, and it's never there.
Yeah, well, that's kind of how I felt about this film. It was never there. Never quite there. What?
Okay, I disagree. I loved it.
Look, hey, that's just my opinion.
I could watch it again. And again.
I could probably watch it again. I don't know if I'd watch it again and again and again.
Yeah.
I want to ask you just quickly about another thing about Chris Nolan.
Yes, go on.
CGI. He claims not to be into CGI.
Yeah,
And in this film, there's talk of him using cardboard cutouts.
I saw some of that. I saw a bit of behind the scenes stuff.
Surely he's used CGI here, right? He hasn't.
No. Well, yeah, he probably has to polish a few things.
Of course he has.
Yeah, but majority of it was real.
Inception? Let's see that without CGI.
Okay.
Mr. Nolan?
Okay. You know the scene where they're fighting in a hallway in a hotel?
Oh, okay, and it's going around the...
That's an actual floating hallway. He's got that on rig. He's rigged that up.
Yeah, I can see why he would have done that.
Yeah.
Because, that's dealing with...
But of course, things like moving a city in on itself is not going to be possible.
Yeah.
Whatever he thinks he can't do in reality, he has to use CGI for.
Back to this film, I think things like the the splintering of the wooden jetties and things like that. I wonder how much of that was CGI and how much was actual.
When it comes to, I suppose, when it comes to putting the lives of your staff in danger, he's got to use CGI. He can't drop a real bomb on that or explode it from underneath or whatever.
Yeah.
But I'd say he did as much as possible with real effects.
Whatever he did, I think it was effective anyway.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of gore in this film, really, is there?
No, hardly any blood at all. Oddly. I think blood's a big thing for the censors. If they see a touch of blood, they give it a different, higher rating. So
yeah.
So it's well done.
So at the end of the day, for me, this was a really, really well executed film.
Okay,
loved it. No, it was okay, but
just okay for you.
It was no Inception for me.
I'm still juggling with that. I think Inception, Interstellar, this. I think these are amongst his best films. I still think I'd put that in the top bracket for sure.
Okay, well, we'll leave it there.
All right. See you next time.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
68 gallons, Fortis leader.
Stay down at 500 feet to leave fuel for 40-minute fighting time over Dunkirk.
Understood. Vector 128, Angels .5.
And keep an eye on that gauge, even when it gets lively. Safe enough to get back.